So, we have Cutie Mark Crusaders, people realizing that Twilight's a princess, hilarity ensuing, and not every other word was Cutie Mark. Oh lawdy lord, this was a good one, especially when it came to world building. Perhaps the most important piece of the world we were shown? Burger joints. Now we can finally get elbow deep in pony culture, now that we know they love greasy foo. I'm just fucking with you. It's Sweetie Belle's magic. The fact that she's having issues with magic shows it isn't an inherent thing for unicorns to be able to do. She's had massive trouble with even the most basic levitation spell for the majority of the episode, lending more credence to my personal theory that magic is based in the mind. If we peg the CMC as tweens, which I would based on their behavior somewhere between 10 and 13, that means that after the chaotic mess that is infant magic dies down, magic doesn't really become a thing until the pony hits or comes close to puberty, meaning it's tied to maturation. Of course, thanks to Zipperwill, Scootaloo doesn't have this excuse. But you didn't come here for fan theories, you came here for episode analysis. It seems that the CMC have started focusing down their Cutie Mark aspirations, and being a lot less stupid about it. Sweetie Belle's practicing magic, Scoots is learning how to build stuff, and Apple Bloom is learning how to mix potions. It seems as though Scoots might have an idea where her talents lay during all this, since she's following up on the mechanical work she did in One Bad Apple. As weird as it sounds, it seems her talents might lay in the engineering field, since she has a pretty decent idea of how physics work in Equestria. Wait a second. What if that's why she can't fly? She knows the math for flying horses doesn't work, so she can't fly. Note to self, somehow get this crazy conspiracy theory traction. The other two seem to be going in complete other directions though. Sweetie must know that she's a good singer by now, and Apple Bloom's proven that she's great at building things, so why don't they look for things similar to that? But, I suppose that might be getting a little bit ahead of myself. Apple Bloom did do pretty well helping make Zap Apple Jam, which in of itself is magic, so maybe potions aren't that much of a leap. And magic seems to be required learning for unicorns, so I suppose Sweetie can be forgiven on putting Cutie Marks on hold. The strange thing is, even though Apple Bloom couldn't make a growth potion, she made the plant she was trying to grow have a coughing fit. That means that her potion gave the plant a larynx, trachea, lungs, a mouth, and a diaphragm. I mean shit, Twilight, doesn't that merit some extra credit? I think that goes a bit beyond the Call of Duty. I've called Twilight Celestia Jr. multiple times in the past, but I have to say it actually works here. She's setting aside time, especially for these three fillies to learn life skills and hopefully learn where their talents lay. It's actually kinda nice after basically an entire season of her being a set-dressing expository device. I like this new Twilight. She's learned so much, and now she's passing it along. This is really good for the CMC's characters as well, since most of their appearances so far revolved around, hey guys, let's try and get X Cutie Mark, and the consequences that result from it, alongside what I assume are massive hospital bills for all the injury they seem to cause themselves. Of course, studying with a princess is just going to attract problems, especially when someone like Diamond Tiara shows up. Sweet, merciful Celestia, do I hate this character. I know she's written for me to hate her, and written quite well for that purpose, but just, I want the Elmer's glue truck to roll along, pick her up, and we never see her again. Tiara, being Tiara, is actually surprised to hear that the Blank Flanks are hanging out with royalty, even though it's Twilight, who she admits she thought was pretty lame. But who cares what someone used to be before they were a god, am I right? Seriously, even when she's trying to get on someone's good side, Tiara still frustrates me. Oh, and Silver Spoon, too, I guess, if I have to remember she exists. Of course, Sweetie, being the evil little genius she is, decides to let the diabolical duo come with them to Twilight's place and learn some new stuff, thinking that if Tiara tries to do what they're trying to do and fails, it'll prove as her comeuppance. Unfortunately, Twilight is far too naive to see what's going on, as always, and insists that the CMC go first, as it's their time. They set it out with Twilight. We don't get to see what happens, but I assume it's basically what happened the first time. The trio promised to keep their Twilight time a secret after that, but you know what happens next. Hilarity ensues as Tiara is told the entire school. Play me out, Pinky. It's predictable, it's cliché, but damn if I don't love every minute of it. At first, the CMC are a bit iffy on the whole thing, but eventually relent when it gives them the opportunity to get all the popularity they'd ever dreamed of. Oh, I smell a lesson coming on! Instead of telling Twilight, they treat her to lunch at a diner, and all its greasy, burgery goodness. They also tell their friends to wait outside like some sort of paparazzi ambush. The fact that they have what appears to be horseshoe-shaped onion rings, or maybe chips, or fries depending on where you live, means that they have fried foods, meaning they have fat fryers. Does the thought of an earth pony handling a deep fat fryer scare anyone else? I wouldn't put my head anywhere near those things, and teeth are basically all anyone but a unicorn can use for this. Does this mean all fry cooks are unicorns? The species that basically makes up an entire upper class invented the shitty, greasy food we all know and love? Think about that for a minute. By the way, remember how I bitched and moaned about Pinky's behavior last episode? Well, she only had less than a minute of screen time in this one, but Pinky was done a lot better here, and is partially the reason the CMC get caught out, having noticed the school children taking pictures of Twilight through the window. The princess is so weird here. When they go outside, she's surprised that they want her autograph and pictures, when she's a freaking princess. In fact, I'm surprised it just doesn't happen to her more often. Is she ever going to get over this naivete? I mean, geez, not really looking great for Celestia's judgment on Alicornhood here. What happens next is kinda sorta Twilight's fault. She misunderstands the questions asked of her and accidentally labels the CMC as her entourage, as Tiara puts it. Not that the girls do anything to correct this, however. The entire class basically does whatever the CMC want. A unicorn who apparently wants to grow up to be Rarity Jr. puts gems all over Apple Bloom's bow, Scoots gets a hoofa cure, and Pippin McBritish Shoes basically becomes Sweetie's servant. On the topic of Pip, I'd like to point something out. Well done, MLP team. You got him a more or less consistent voice. Now if you could just obtain the correct accent for another set of ponies, that would be nice. During this episode, I started to think that Sweetie's talent may have been plotting, of all things, since she seems to take the most advantage of this newfound fame, even willing to accept an invitation to Diamond Tiara's house for a pool party, something I'm hoping gave that little ball of evil an ulcer to even offer it. What I see here is the classic story. People are rocketed into popularity after being at the bottom of the pack, and overdo it, basically, leading to the fame crashing down directly on their heads. This is especially true when they try and bail, trying to beat the hordes at Twilight's house. They fail, and naive little Twilight allows them all in, under the pretense of learning. Until Pippington kind of ruins it, of course, giving away the entire scam. With Twilight finally figuring it out, she actually gets pretty mad at the CMC and asks them to prove that they actually care about learning. Of course, due to the pressure, they blow it. Twilight kicks out all the kids and basically tells the CMC to not come back. That is, of course, until they apologize, showing that they have been learning without realizing it. Without all of this pressure, Scootaloo repairs the scooter she failed to repair earlier. Apple Bloom quickly brews a working growth potion and finally gets a flower to grow, which Sweetie uses magic to place in Twilight's hair. This gets them back in her good books and teaches them a valuable lesson in not exploiting others. A lot of people don't like the CMC episodes, and I sorta can't blame them, but I tend to like them since they're different from the others, and despite not seeming it, there's almost always has a personal journey sort of layout, one of my actual favorite in storytelling. They always learn something by the end of it, even if they didn't have to overcome an antagonist, and they almost always improve as people. This episode actually blew the rest of them out the water. Each member of the CMC is better written than ever before, with personalities beyond, "We gotta get our cutie mark, girls!" I loved it. My main problem with this episode was how fucking dense Twilight is. There's being naive, and then there's being a moron. By the time the diner scene happened, she probably should have figured it out, being an intelligent creature. So that's 2 brilliant episodes in a row. Dare we go for the hat trick? I suppose we'll have to find out next week. As always, I'm Nozvix, and we've been staring at Twilight Time. Now, here's my question for you. What is your favorite Cutie Mark Crusaders episode, if you have one? Do you not like the Cutie Mark Crusaders? Do you think they need to be done better, or do you think they're fine as they are? How do you feel that they've developed as the show's gone on, and their role has become more fleshed out, and they've developed as characters? Like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and I will see you next time with more MLP analysis and comment.